Looks like AEW Dynamite fucked up again tonight. We got two show wrestling promotions that are not doing well. That's WWE and AEW. So much I have to say tonight about tonight's Dynamite. Name my topic tonight is called Sneaky, Sly, and Subpar in St. Paul, Minnesota. Is AEW Dynasty gonna be worth watching in a couple of weeks? So much I have to say tonight. I'm the Godfather Soldier Smooth Fleming. Before I open up with tonight's show, I'm gonna open the show with a little bit of music. This number one hit single from 1975 called Kung Fu Fighting by Jamaican British singer Carl Douglas. I think that's what his name is. Kung Fu Fighting. Yeah, Carl Douglas. That's it. Number one hit single from 1975. Number one single from 1975. Yeah, I think I think it was a hit, number one hit in '74, and became a big hit in 1975. So stick around. I'm right back. Let me get this show started up, and I'll be right back. Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas, number one hit single for 19. Number one hit, all you just heard. Very good song. A little martial arts good. One of the best martial arts songs ever made back in the 70s. So let's get down with tonight's show. Let's break it all down tonight. WrestleView.com. Okay, we are greeted with an opening intercut with footage from a Minecraft movie, which is a sponsor for tonight. Before commentary runs down the lineup, we head to ringside for our opening match. As Blake Christian enters first, we get footage of his work in the ROH to get better acquainted as Christian steps into the ring. Out next is the international champion himself, ready for a non-title action as Kenny Omega comes out to a big pop to the St. Paul crowd. Omega enters the ring, getting the crowd rowdy once more before this match gets underway. Non-title match, AEW International Champion Kenny Omega versus Blake Christian. The crowd chants for Kenny before he and Christian lock up, trading holds until Blake gets a snapmare on the champ. Omega back up, taking Blake down with a side headlock as Christian fights to his feet. He eventually breaks free of the champ, flipping him off as the crowd boos. And Kenny responds to some chops and running running knee. Was it running knee? Hold on, back. On a second. Flipping him off as the crowd boos, and Kenny responds with some chops and a running kick to take him to the canvas. Christian dodges Omega in the corner, attacking the champ's kidney until Kenny fights back with some right hands. He hits the ropes for the speed, but is met with a drop kick by Blake, who mocks Kenny's gun salute and manages to get a thumb to the eye. Omega, when the latter tries to fight back, he sends Kenny Omega before going after him once more, sending the champ back into the ring, but is taken down by a revived Omega. Kenny knocks Johnson off the apron before hitting a snap dragon suplex on Christian, not once but twice for full effect. He hoists Blake up, driving his knee into the back of Christian's neck for even more damage, catching him into a V-trigger off the ropes. One ring angel puts Blake down for the pin and the win by the international champion. Winner via pinfall, Kenny Omega. Kenny gets the microphone after the match, addressing the crowd about giving them a show tonight and quickly before turning his attention to two men who are facing him at Dynasty for the title. Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. This gets the latter out as Speedball's music hits, bringing Bailey out to a nice reception from the crowd. As he walks down to the ramp with a microphone in hand, crowd chants Speedball as the two address each other, with Blake congratulating Omega on the win and calling him an inspiration. He admires as a wrestler and a champion as a person, but come to Dynasty and he won't not hold anything back. He is prepared to kick Kenny's head clean off to take his international championship. Kenny starts to respond when the pair are cut off by Ricochet, who comes to us via the screen on what will be on his wedding day. He runs down Bailey and will make it promising that the next best day of his life will be when he takes the international championship at Dynasty. Ha 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 ha, he says. Kenny tries to respond, but the video cuts out, forcing Omega to focus on Bailey as he promises to retain at Dynasty. He welcomes Mike to AEW and wishes he could talk more, but he bid us adieu. So good night. Mwah. And goodbye with a bang. Omega's music hits as we take a look back at Collision and the confrontation between Bandito and Chris Jericho, the latter dealing with a rowdy kid in the front row. We cut backstage as Jericho addresses the ugly truths while telling his learning tree students that they need to prove themselves to him one last time. Brian Keith and Big Will walk off as Jericho says he wants Bandito's mask. He puts up his Ring of Honor World Championship online, issuing a title versus mask match from Bandito at Dynasty before talking about making the Luchador's mother cry once more. We head back to ringside as MJF comes out to a chorus of boos as he enters the ring, running down the St. Paul crowd before calling MVP out to give him the answer he's looking for. MVP comes out to the crowd chanting, "We hurt people," before entering the ring. MJF compliments MVP on his cane before talking about the promise he made about himself and dealing with Adam Cole not doing friends again. But he knows that MVP doesn't do friends either. He does business. He tells MVP that he wants to be in the business of hurting people. And he extends a hand, but before MVP can shake on it, the Hurt Syndicate's music hits once more as Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin step out. Step out. The tag champs enter the ring. Bobby is extending a hand, but to not shake Maxwell's, instead him to hand over the card. MVP looks shocked by this, but as MJF hands the card to Lashley as the champ tears it in half. MJF says they can do this right now, but backs off when he is shown a fist by Lashley and tries to insist that they are cool and that everything is cool. Maxwell doesn't seem to think this is cool as he leaves the ring and goes to back up the ramp. He comes out and comes to Big Bill and Brian Keith. A few verbal jabs are exchanged between Big Bill and MVP as the big man addresses never been pinned or submitted to lose the titles, and the man that took those titles from him and his partner retiring before the team could get their rematch. The jabs continue as MVP and the champs leave the ring confronting the two men on the stage. Bill says he's going to invoke his rematch with his new partner Keith, but MVP tells the pair to win a match and they can reconsider accepting challenge. MVP drops the mic as the trio head to the back as we get an ad break. Commercial break. We head to ringside as Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm address their tag match later tonight, as well as Rosa's entrance in challenging for the title she never officially lost. Storm insists they need to focus on their opponents tonight, as Megan Bang and Penelope Ford are told to look out for another team of Thunderstorm. Back at ringside, Brody King makes his way out for our next contest. Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm don't get along. I don't think this tag team's not gonna look very good here. Back at ringside, Brody King makes his way out for our next contest. Don Callis accompanies Kyle Fletcher out to the ring, though he appears not to be on commentary as this match gets underway. Kyle Fletcher versus Brody King. Kyle takes control of the match early. Kyle takes control of the match early on, taking Brody to the corner before removing his pants to reveal trunks. This gives King an opening to lay into the pro star, forcing him out of the ring at first, and then taking Fletcher down hard. And when he returns, he drops Fletcher to the mat with a chop after absorbing two from Kyle. But Fletcher fights back, forcing King to the ropes for a couple of stomps. Brody blocks a hammer throw attempt, instead forcing Fletcher out of the ring with a clothesline over the top rope as we go to an ad break on Max. Full ahead break on Max. Back from the break, Fletcher fights back in the ring with a big boot to King's face, only to be driven hard by Brody. Both men are down as the ref begins to count, but able to get back up when King takes Fletcher out with a back body drop that forces him to roll out of the ring, only to be dropped to the floor with a dive by the big man. King doesn't keep control for long as Fletcher drives him to the ring post, and then the lead barricade adding to damage when he enters the ring to hit a drive through the ropes on King. This forces both men down as the ref begins a new count. Fletcher enters the ring, so too does Brody. This prompts Kyle to go up on top of the top for an elbow drop, covered by the Proto Star. It's only good for a 2 count. King powers out of the slam attempt, sending Fletcher to the center to the corner onto the canvas with an exploder suplex before bringing him over to the apron, driving him down hard into the hardest part of the ring. The 2 men are down and the ref checks on them as we go to an ad break on Max. Full ad break on Max. Back from the break, both men have returned to the ring and are trading strikes when Kyle lands a couple of kicks and only to be laid out with a rolling elbow from the King, which sets him up for a power bomb. Fletcher counters out, hitting a set of kicks before lifting Brody up for a styling tombstone power driver. He makes the cover, but King manages to kick out just in time. King heads to the corner to receive her as Fletcher heads to the corner, charging toward the big man, who lays him out with a massive lariat instead. King looks to finish things, but Kyle is saved by Mark Davis, who backs away as Fletcher puts Brody up into the turnbuckle. He fights back, sending Fletcher to the canvas, but is met with gouging eyes by the Pro Star, who drops King down with a turnbuckle brainbuster for the win. Winner via pinfall, Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher celebrates the win before he and Davis go after Brody King until the music of the powerhouse Hobbs stops them in their tracks. Hobbs comes running through the crowd to intercept the family in the ring until King sends Fletcher out of the ring with a clothesline. We get a graphic indicating that Hobbs versus Davis is up next. Then we go to a commercial break. Back at ringside, the officials try to calm the situation down between Hobbs and Davis as they get back in the ring, clearing security to get ready as the ref calls for the bell. This match gets underway. Mark Davis versus Powerhouse Hobbs is a house fight as a 2-man trade strikes, with Davis eventually getting the upper hand before Hobbs regains control. He slams Mark down hard before Davis catches him with an enziguri. As he runs down the ropes, Davis is hit with a big spine buster that gets Hobbs the pin and the win. Winner by pinfall, Powerhouse Hobbs. Don makes his escape from the commentary. I don't know. As Hobbs leaves the ring, heading up the ramp into the back. We go backstage to hear from the Patriarchy sans Christian Cage as Nick Wayne addresses Costin Cope the world title match last week, as well as his issues with the Patriarchy himself. Wayne says he'll save his thoughts on Cage for when they meet face to face for what happened last week, but this was an example of properly executing a plan. He and his mother walk off, leaving us silent Kip Saban as we go to an ad break. Commercial break. We see Swerve Strickland interrupted by Hangman and Page, the two arguing after Page's remarks last week. From there, we go to the sit-down interview with Rated FTR as Dex vents his frustrations about his team losing the sight of the tag titles. Cope says that he wasn't trying to take away from the tag title scene, but a bit argument leads them to Dex stating that he and Cash want a shot at the Hurt Syndicate. only for Cope to say he like one more shot at teaming up to chase the trio titles instead. This leads to the Raid FTR issuing a challenge to Death Riders for the AEW World Trios Championship at Dynasty, but can't seem to agree on a catchphrase to close the segment. Back at ringside, Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana came out to a big pop from the crowd. Strickland says he's calling out John Moxley, not the Death Riders, just the AEW World Champion himself. Moxley's music hits as the champ comes through the crowd, Sans briefcase entering the ring with a microphone in his hand and stands across from his challenger for a Dynasty. Swerve says he's allowed people to hold on to his title for too long before asking Mox what happened. He says the champ hides behind his Death Riders, even Marina Shafir, before saying that he, despite his claims that no one deserves to be the world champion than Mox himself, doesn't deserve it. He says that Mox keeps the title in a briefcase because he can't see himself when the title is on his shoulder. Strickland asks the champ how his back is doing before saying that everything needs to be focused on is right in front of him right here, right now. The crowd accordingly reacts accordingly to the sight of Claudio Castagnoli standing behind Prince Nana. Looks more than a little bit nervous to turn around and face him. Mox says they're calling all chilling before saying that Dynasty isn't really about him. It's about Swerve versus Swerve. Who is Swerve really? What is he really? Mox knows. He knows exactly what Strickland is and he can be. He had high hopes for Swerve, but has been disappointed. He says Swerve has a chance to prove himself at Dynasty when he gets to ask himself how he is willing to become champion. There are plenty of questions for him to ask himself, but ultimately he will suffer come April 6. Mox expresses his anger toward the way the company has been run as of late, saying guys like Swerve give him hope, but he's not going to give Strickland a handout. He asks Swerve once again how far he's willing to go. Since he calls himself the most dangerous man in AEW. We see Marina stepping into the apron, but only to be confronted by Willow Nightingale. As Swerve asserts that he is the most dangerous man in this company. When he takes the title at Dynasty, John Moxley can continue to play that role on TV. Both men drop their mics, staring at each other as the Death Riders finally back off. Mox leaves the ring, escaping the crowd with the Death Riders until Shafir rushes at Willow to pull her off the apron. The two-man trade strikes until Claudio Castagnoli pulls Shafir away as the Death Riders leave through the crowd as Swerve's music hits. Backstage, Shibata has commandeered a camera as Samoa Joe talks to Hook about messing around with Max Caster, who we see talking to top fight in the AR Fox about Solo going solo just like he has. The Ops eventually catch the best wrestler alive by surprise as Joe chokes him out before they walk off. We get a video package hyping up AEW Dynasty before going to an ad break. Commercial break. We hear backstage. We hear from Jay White, who declares himself for the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament this year, promising to go to All In Texas to get a shot at his AEW World Championship. He then goes to an open challenge for Collision to see who will step up to switch to the Switchblade. Back at ringside, Top Flight heads out for our next match as Alice Finley and Devo Wright are already in the ring before this match gets underway. Top Flight, Alex Finley and Devo Knight. Dante starts things off with Finley taking him down before hitting a hard flurry of offense leading to a tag to Darius. He gets a few shots on Finley as well before Dante tags back in. This goes back and forth aside from not getting involved. Top Flight eventually would take Finlay down with a crossover pick for a victory in their hometown. Wins by pinfall. Top Flight. We get a video package for Will Ospreay, who returns next week on Dynamite, and then head back to ringside for our next match. Out first is Mark Briscoe, followed by Keno Suzuki Shida before this match gets underway. Mark Briscoe versus Kanozaki Takeshita. Briscoe gets some shots in at the start, but is quickly overpowered by Takeshita, who eventually sends Mark to the corner for some more damage until Briscoe fights back with a running forearm. He sends the Alpha to the outside, but is met with a big boot to the face by returning Takeshita. Briscoe in the corner as Takeshita stumps away, sitting on the apron for dropping DDT, forcing him to the floor as we go to an ad break on Max. Full ad break on Max. Back from the break, both men are back in the ring as Takeshita sends Briscoe down hard to the mat, but Mark fights back with what he calls redneck kung fu, forcing Takeshita outside for a dive. Briscoe continues the attack, jumping on the barricade to walk along for an elbow drop before sending Takeshita back into the ring. He climbs up for a froggy bow, but Konosuke Saki evades it before hitting a German suplex. Briscoe goes back up and catches Takeshita with a lariat for a near fall, but as Callis heads to the ringside to will his man back into it. Takeshita blocks a J driller before hitting a high big boot on Briscoe, only to for Mark to connect with an exploder on the Alpha. The two hit each other with suplexes before Takeshita explodes Briscoe down for a cover, but Mark kicks out. Lariat from Takeshita is no good as Briscoe hands Jay a driller for the cover on the Alpha, who gets a big boot on the bottom to stop the pin. Briscoe sets Suzuki on the turnbuckle for a burning hammer, but Takeshita breaks free for the rolling elbow and the Raging Fire to pick up for the win. Winner by pinfall, Konosuke Takeshita. Callis enters the ring to celebrate with Takeshita as we cut to a response from the Death Riders, who insist they are challenging Raid FTR to survive the Death Riders. This seems to confirm the World's Trios title match as we get a graphic for our main event up next. Commercial break. We backstage we see the Hurt Syndicate drop and discussing MVPs offered to MJF. More on Jackass Friedman. Lashley says he does not like the guy as Benjamin points to Friedman's reputation. But the three eventually come to something of a conscious on the situation as we cut away. Back at ringside, it's time for our main event. Penelope Ford and Megan Bang enter first. Art next is Thunder Rosa, followed by Timeless Toni Storm, as the team heads to ringside to get this match underway. AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa versus Megan Bang and Penelope Ford. You start things off with Thunder Rosa with Bang and Rosa as they trade a fence. Rosa gets the upper hand as Megasis until Bang hits her with a scoop slam. This prompts Thunder to make a tag to the champ, who confronts Bang until Ford gets a tag instead. She takes Tony to the canvas only for the champ to take control as the tag is made to Rosa, and the pair double team Ford, leading to a running drop kick by Thunder Rosa off the back of Storm for a cover and a near fall. Rosa continues to stay in attack as we go to an ad break on Max. Full ad break on Max. Back from the break, Bang and Ford has taken control of the match as Bang sends Thunder Rosa to the corner, allowing Penelope to get a near fall on the former champion. The reigning champ makes it back to the apron on the opposite corner as Thunder Rosa and Ford send each other to the mat, eventually to make their respective tags. Storm struggles to make Bang budge before landing a jawbreaker and a headbutt, forcing Megan to ropes before sending her to the outside, only to be pulled out by Megasis as well. Storm catches her with a DDT before entering the ring again, but Ford takes her down before Rosa throws with an attack, forcing Ford to the outside. Bang sends Rosa down hard with face descent, but is cut off by Storm, who sends Megan to the corner for a hip attack. What she doesn't see is Bang getting back to her feet as Ford grabs the champ to set up for a big foot from Megan, only for the Storm to break free, forcing Ford to be laid out instead. Ford is sent out of the ring, but Toni Storm is no match for Fate's descent by Megasis, who gets the pin in the win in this main event. Winning by pinfall, Megan Fane and Penelope Ford. Ford gets back in the ring to celebrate with Bang as we see Storm still laid out, raising the question whether this will be Champ's fate of the Dynasty as the show comes to a close. But who knows what will turn out to be AEW be at AEW Dynasty. It's real. I mean, I don't know if it's it's real to see a heel team up with a oh, she is a babyface. Thunderstorm. That's their tag team. Well, Toni Storm is officially a heel, and we all know her face turn was like a ruse, and Toni Storm is a face, and Thunder Rose is a Thunder Rose is a face, and Toni Storm is more like a heel, and because her Rockstar act was a ruse. Well, who knows? Who knows? Man, if only Cody Rhodes was back in the AEW and quit WWE, and he would make AEW great again. Coming back to WWE is a big mistake for Cody Rhodes. So that's my review for tonight, and now it's something to close out with something for all of you, a little something I like to do. All of you know what it's time for. It's time for Justin's Talent History, the back of the pop culture history, and all that stuff. All you hear that things from Back to the Future starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, it's time for wrestling history, wrestling birthdays, and pop culture, etc., and all that stuff. All you hear that things from Back to the Future starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Can't wait for its 40th anniversary on July 3rd, 2025, because the movie was released July 3rd, 1985. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. Let's go to yesterday, March the 25th. on when someone's acting up the screen. In a few minutes. Okay. 1 year ago. Hold on, wait. So 1 second. Okay. Today is a happy birthday to Chris Conway. Chris Conway. He's a wrestler from Indiana, where I live, Indiana. He's 37 today. The late Tim White. Tim White died of a heart failure. WWE referee died of heart failure. He would have been. Let's see. 71 years old today. French Canadian wrestler Sylvain Grenier, he turns 48 today. 48 years old today. And let's see, yesterday. Trying to see. 1 second. See WWF. See. Hold on. WCW. Okay. No one knew. No idea one of these matches on WCW Pro. On WCW Pro on this March 25th, 1995, Flying Brian Pillman, God rest his soul, faced off against Morris Watson. And they show a highlight of WCW Saturday Night. Vader, Dave Sullivan, and Ric Flair footage. Sergeant Craig Pittman versus Barry Houston. Nasty Boys versus George South and Fred Avery. And now audio from this, and there was no audio for the first 6 segments on the show. Now audio was back on this point. Courtesy WCW Saturday Night, Lord Stephen Reed and Bobby Eaton joined together as Blue Bloods. Stunning Steve Austin versus Larry McMahon. It's not Vince. Not Vince. It's that Stone Cold. Some of you know it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's Vince Stone Cold feuded with. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Stars and Stripes versus Kevin Sullivan, Avalanche, and the Butcher. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, on WCW Worldwide, Pretty Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Paul Roman defeated Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton. Tatanka with Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase defeated British Bulldog by countout. The Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart defeated Sheik Donovan and Rip Rogers, retaining the WWE Tag Team Championship. They're still feels grieved by the attack by Man on the Mission, Mo and Mabel. Hakushi with Sinja defeated Portuguese Man of War Aldo Montoya. And Henry O'Godwin defeated Mark Starr. Jobber. And on WWF Mania, hosted by Todd Pettengill and Stephanie Wyan, Smoking Guns versus the Heaven Bars, Lex Luger versus King Kong Bundy was shown. All of the matches: Smoking Guns versus the Heaven Bars, Lex Luger versus King Kong Bundy, Razor Ramon versus Henry Godwin. Hold on a second. Let's see. On WCW Saturday Night, Sergeant Craig Pittman defeated Mike Davis. Stars and Stripes defeated Stunny Trout and Rick Thames. Big Bubba defeated Mike Starr. Brian Pillman defeated Terrorist. Meng defeated Mike Curry. Stunning Steve Austin, we know Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Kenny Kendall. Sting defeated Lieutenant James Earl Wright. And Kevin Sullivan and the Butcher defeated Dave Abbey and Leroy Howard Jobbers. And WCW TV champion Arn Anderson defeated Jobber John Crystal. And the Macho Man Randy Savage defeated Avalanche. And Avalanche, we know some of you know it's Earthquake, Earthquake from WWE. John Tenta, late John Tenta. And rest in peace to Randy Savage and Avalanche. And aka John Tenta, aka some of you know is Earthquake. Earthquake from WWE. Okay, and let's go to 2005 on Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling, March the 25th. Triton defeated Buck Quartermain. Jeff Hardy and Shocker defeated Davey Young and Lyle, Lex Lovett, Don Harrison and the Harris Brothers, and with Tracy Brooks, defeated Cassie Riley and Shark Boy. Apollo defeated Sonny Siaka. America Samoa James Harrison, Chris Harrison, James Storms versus Phi Delta Slam. Big Telly Big Telly and Bruno Sassi with Trinity in a no contest. Okay, and some pulp culture on this day in 2005, a movie called Guess Who, starring Ashton Kutcher and the late Bernie Mac, was released. And another movie, starring a movie called The Ballad of Jack and Rose, was released, starring Daniel Day Lewis and Catherine Keenan, Camilla Bell, Jason Lee and Jenna Malone and Bo Bridges, and Susanna Thompson was released. Old Boy starring was released. A little martial arts movie was released. And that was later to became a remake, American remake, starring Jason Josh Brolin, was released, but it became a flop. And in 2015, Sasha Banks and defeated Alexa Bliss to retain the NXT Women's Championship by submission. Kevin Owens defeated Finn Balor to retain the NXT Championship. And WWE is not getting any better because it's becoming worse. Worse like it all worse. Let's go to March the 26th. Today's pop culture and history. So. That was hilarious. Okay, Paige Van Zant. Paige Van Zant from AEW. She turns Okay, let's see what else. Mike Mondo, some of you know, is Mikey from who's in WWE with a member of the Spirit Squad. Mike Mondo, Raymond, Michael Brindley. He turns 42. And Mexican wrestler Octagon, his real name is Juan Escalera. He turns 64 today. Happy birthday to them all. And celebrity birthday today. Today's a happy 75th birthday to one of my favorite comedian, funniest people. The marvelous Martin Short. Ed Grimley. I also like them in the movie Inner Space, Three Amigos, Clifford, and Father and Bride movies where he played Frank. I love Martin Short. Grew up and he was funny. And and on this day in 1985 on WWE Primetime Wrestling, hosted by Jack Reynolds and Jesse the Body Ventura. Moondog Rocks matches shown Moondog Rex versus Tony Garea, AJ Peruzzi versus Jim Powers, Sway Hansen versus Charlie Fulton, Nikolai Volkov versus George Wells, WWE Tag Team Champion Barry Windham and versus Dirty Dick Murdoch. The father and son tag team Bruno and Dave Sammartino versus Paul Orndorff and versus Barry the Brain Heenan. And WWE Tag Team Champion Mike Rotunda, some we know as Aaron R. Shyster and Bray Wyatt's father, late Bray Wyatt's father. The late Bray Wyatt. That's Bray Wyatt's father. God rest his soul. Mike Rotunda. God rest on the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Mike Rotunda versus Mr. X. Match shown himself for Adrian Downs. Tony Atlas versus Moondog Spot was shown. See, see what else. Now this day, 1995, on WWF Wrestling Challenge, hyping up to WrestleMania 11. Man on a Mission turned heel, defeating Man on a Mission defeated Gary Sober and Ken Raper, and they turned heel on and Mo and Mabel turned heel on Smoking Guns for ready to come out here and apologize, but it was all a ruse, and they no longer had it. And, Oscar can't believe it, and they had to turn heel. They had to attack him. So that, and it just makes making Man on the Mission no more Man on the Mission. Mabel had to go solo, and Mo had to become his manager. Owen Hart defeated Chris Tipton. Man on Mount Rushmore defeated the Jobber. And Commodore Supreme Final Machine with Ted DiBiase defeated Bob Cook. The Blue Twins Eli and Jacob with Uncle Zebekiah defeated Chad Bird and Ray Hudson. Razor Ramon defeated the Black Phantom. And on that same day on WWF Action Zone, Man on a Mission defeated Smoking Guns defeated Man on a Mission, and then they turned heel And on that day, they turn heel. Same day they turn heel on the Smoking Guns. They kick Oscar out. They Oscar can't believe, and then they attack. And Mo and Mabel attack Oscar. Um, and they give him the boot, forcing Mabel to go solo, and Mo would be his manager. Let's see, and see on WCW's main event. On WCW main event, Dustin Rhodes and Johnny B. Bad, that was Goldust, defeated Iron and Cody Rhodes' brother, American Nightmare Cody Rhodes' brother, defeated Arn Anderson and Blacktop Bully, someone we know as Demolition Smash, and Repo Man from WWE, with Colonel Tom Parker, defeated no idea who. Then the USA Network aired a special hyping up to WrestleMania 11 called the Sunday Night Slam, called Sunday Night Slam. The hosts were Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jeff Jarrett faced off against with the Road, known as Road Just Jennings, with facing off against Bob Backlund for the Intercontinental title. And and then Jarrett tries to avoid. Jarrett tries to avoid Backlund, but gets caught with a slam when Backlund hits a butterfly suplex for a 2 count. After that, and hits a atomic drop, and that says Jarrett into Rhodey, knocking him off the apron for another 2 count. Jarrett ducks out for a breather, but Backlund takes him out inside. Jarrett is able to take down Backlund in the the arm, as we see Rhodey shining the belt outside, and Ross puts over Backlund's crossface chicken wing. As Vince saying, the question is whether it's not a dangerous move than a sharpshooter. Backlund uses a gotch lift, but Rhodey trips him up and just go to a break. The match returns with Jarrett putting Backlund with his downward stretch. Jarrett grabs the ropes for leverage. As Vince talks about the WWE Superstar line, Backlund escapes with it, but misses with an elbow drop as Jarrett goes right back in control. Jarrett gets for a near fall over her back for his sunset flip, but gets decked with a forearm smash. Smash. Jarrett misses, but with a charge, gets in the corner. But as Backlund stalks Jarrett before hitting power driver Backlund is now on the knees and looking for his hands before stalking Jarrett. But Razor Ramon runs in from behind, attacks Backlund for a DQ. After the match, Jarrett begs for mercy in the corner, but Backlund attacks Razor from behind, puts him in the crossface. Chicken wing. As the bell rings, Jarrett Rhodey also attack Razor until Brett runs out to make a save with 1-2-3. Kid also runs out to even the sides as the faces stand tall, and to end with Brett's music playing. Then we'll see this match: Sione versus Bam Bam Bigelow with Ted DiBiase. And Bam Bigelow defeats Sione. Then we get a video package of hyping up the Brett versus Owen No-Holds Barred on Raw Monday Night Raw as both men are setting up for the setting score that kicked off at the 1994 Royal Rumble, and they probably could still be stretched out of No-Holds Barred situation until WrestleMania, since Owen cost Brett the title at Survivor Series and effed him up over again at the 95 Royal Rumble. Now and then we see Vince McMahon getting interviewed with Kevin Nash. Some of you know it was known as Deals at this time. Talking about him facing facing his match against Shawn Michaels. Then we'll see a WrestleMania 11 report with Ty Pennegill. Then we'll see a steel cage match, Tatanka with Ted DiBiase versus Lex Luger. And then Then Lex Luger defeated Tatanka in a steel cage match. Then and the show ends with Bret Hart cutting a promo on Becklin about his match against saying I quit at WrestleMania 11 as the show ends. Now let's go to 2005 on WWE Velocity. Paul London defeated Spike Dudley. Mark Jindrak defeated Doug Basham with Danny Basham. Hydran Wright defeated Robert Adams. Akio and Billy Kidman defeated Funaki and Nunzio. And on this day in 2015, on SmackDown, leading up to WrestleMania 11, Thursday Night SmackDown, Jimmy Uso with Jay Uso and Naomi defeated Cesaro with Tyson Kidd and Tayo and Big E with Xavier Woods and Fernando with El Trio in a fatal four-way match. Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Mark Henry, and Roman Reigns defeated Bray Wyatt and The Authority, Kane, Seth Rollins, and Big Show, and Jamie Noble and Jay Mercury in an 8-man tag team match. And leading up to the ending to hyping up for WrestleMania 11, WrestleMania 31. And on WWF Superstars on the same day, 2015, Summer Rae with Cameron defeated Emma, and Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods with Big E defeated The Ascension, Connor and Victor. As the show ends, and that's it. That will hype it up for my show tonight. My review. So everyone have a good night, and as a late Chair Henshaw, I always say I like to dress up like Chubby Checker, sing like Lionel Richie, dance like James Brown. I like to get in that hot tub. Gonna make me sweat. Gonna make me dry. Gonna make me wet. Referring to that's what he said. Referring to Eddie Murphy doing an impression of James Brown Saturday Night Live back in the early to mid 80s, I think. Yeah, early to mid 80s, and I never grew up in the 80s. I saw reruns of old school Saturday Night Live on Comedy Central when I was little. My mom told me about 80s culture. I was born in 88 and I grew up in the 1989. I grew up in the 90s. So that's it. Hope all have a good night. Now I got something to close out the show tonight. I'm gonna play a little song. It's called by the Eagles. It's called "Best of My Love." So I hope all of you have a good night. And fine. So I hope all you have a good night. And here's something to close out the show tonight. "Best of My Love" by the Eagles, #1 hit single from 1975. Good night, everybody.